The thing that I liked the most about the town hall was that I was able to hear some other teachers' experiences and hear some of their struggles. I would have liked to hear more solutions, and maybe having more time is always a little bit easier to brainstorm those things.
I'm curious that you're asking young teachers, other than the teacher of the year, very young teachers, to articulate what will make a better school system, and they're just getting in it. It took me 5 years to master my craft, just to be in the craft. So in 5 years, how are you going to be able to really pull out what this can be done?
I thought that it was really important to look at how culturally responsive schools are, and there might have been a temptation to not talk about tough issues. So when he brought that up, I think it made it safer to talk about tougher issues, and dropout is a really tough issue. And so I think he opened the door for us to talk about more deep issues. So I was glad that he brought that up.
We have a problem with not just general education, proper education, but universal education. That is the education that we should be strategizing for all of us. Because general education will allow you, no matter what your skill sets are, to at least meet your needs. Since everybody cannot be doctors, everybody can't be lawyers, everybody can't be plumbers and electricians. But we still need them to be able to be in the community and be contributing members of the community. So cultural education is key to overset all those proper education kind of things that they seem to be steering us for. So I wanted to make sure I got that out there, because otherwise we would lose a lot of students. A lot of students will fall through the Grand Canyon because we just keep using data.
Having a large class size limits the amount of time that I can spend per pupil, and I find that the more time I can spend with each student, the better personal relationship I have with them, and the better academic outcomes I get from them.
So when it comes to just taking, just the classroom nurturing rules, the cultural rules, bring them into the school, bring them into your classroom, the way you were raised, if it worked, make those rules part of the classroom. So that's one of the things that kind of set us apart.
Values and morals are definitely being presented to students in our class, in my class, and the morals that I try to help them with are patience, empathy, and kindness. Those are the three things that I hold really close to my heart, and I try to make sure that my students are getting that structure.
Okay. Two of the key points that we develop as a pedagogy for African-centered education is the idea that all staff members, no matter if they're janitors, custodians, lunch aides, they're all addressed as mamas and papas, because we understand that as far as the African communities, that is what single-family parents are being faced with, the lack of having a parental pressure, a parental influence with their children when they cannot be there. So we include that. That's one of the most key things. And in fact, we have a lot of arguments with parents who are not used to having their kids or their children address somebody else as a mama or a papa. It's an honorific title. It is earned, because I don't know any parent worth their salt who don't want their children to excel. And if you're there with the tools, then you can help that child to achieve and to accelerate their education far beyond what normal relationships, because children want to please their parents. And if they see you as a parent, as a positive person in their life, they will do everything possible.
It's definitely one of the biggest issues of the school that I work in, is making sure that students' basic needs are met. So one of the things that we do in our school is we partner with various organizations such as Gleaners and various shelters and other food banks in our neighborhoods that provide us with snacks. We try to provide snacks for our students at least once a day to just kind of curb their hunger, because a hungry student isn't a thinking student. In terms of sleeping in beds, I can't go home with students, but having empathy and understanding that students really need to have an outlet for that frustration. And sometimes a kid just needs to sleep for 20 minutes and then they can get more work done. It's a hard pill to swallow, particularly when time is so precious. But I find that by understanding where my students are coming from and understanding that their stories are all different and that they all need different things, they are more likely to succeed academically.